Did we record anything we said about the cover? Because I don't really want to talk about it again because we already talked about it.
Oh, yeah, we don't need to talk about the Jam cover. Like, who gives a fuck?
Who gives a fuck about the Jam?
Like, we could guess who... Give me a break. This is another episode of the Flight Ringers podcast. I'm David King. That's Dan Spottswood.
What up, yo?
We're professional cartoonists. We're Legion of Superheroes experts.
Both professional and expert are in quotation marks.
No, they're both not in quotation marks. Whatever the opposite of quotation marks is. This time we're looking at the Legion of Superheroes anniversary issue, their Valiant 300th issue, written by Paul Levitz, laid out by Keith Giffen, probably plotted by Keith Giffen, and guest artists galore.
Right, drawn by a score of notable Legion artists from as far back as are still living, I suppose.
Half a score.
Jam
cover. I don't know. It's not the greatest. We don't like it.
I like it okay.
Oh, okay.
I don't hate it as much as you do, David, but
I don't hate it. It's just not good. That's all.
Yeah. It seems a little iconic to me. It seems like it's one you see a lot. Made the cover of a couple trades. I've actually been slowly redrawing this as we've been talking.
Oh, really?
The last few weeks, just like in ballpoint pen. But I keep getting stuck on block because I can't figure out a way to draw them that doesn't suck.
Why can't you draw
them?
I'm
tempted to just draw them square. I just want to make them all square, like made out of boxes. But I don't know. I like block a lot, but I didn't. It's not really till Lido gets a hold of him that he starts looking kind of cool to me. He looks like a nerd here.
I think he looks kind of cool in this issue. Who draws him in this? I'm already forgetting. It's in the section by it's by Staten and Dick Giorgiano.
Yep,
he looks good in this.
Yeah, looks all right. I don't really follow post 0 Hour Legion stuff too closely, and certainly not the most recent version, but I do like the way that most recent artist drew block. It's more distinct looking, like he found a good hook on how to draw him.
Yeah, I think you've mentioned that before. I can't remember what that guy's block even looks like. Are you talking about Ilderai Sinar or one of the other ones? You don't even know their names, do you?
If I can't pronounce it, it doesn't stick in my head. I don't know why.
Yeah. I think the main ones I remember is Sinar, who did the first of the new Paul Levitz series.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next one had 2 or 3 like kind of rotating artists. One of them was this guy Portela, who has kind of a almost like Jeff Darrow kind of style, maybe.
Yes. I think that's the guy I'm thinking of.
Could be, yeah. He is the real like one that's like the style that stood out to me in that series.
It seems like they've had a lot of difficulty over the years finding a good look for him that didn't just look like a gray Ben Grimm or like a bad ripoff of Rob Liefeld's Bad Rock.
Bad Rock.
That's a joke. It's the other way around, obviously. Like he had the shoulder pads and everything. He looked exactly like the Lytle
yeah, he had
block.
The pants that were red and blue pants.
Right. They just switched the blue to red, basically. Kind of crazy. They got away with it.
This story starts off with Superboy arriving in the 30th century.
Right. And you'll notice the bottom, I'm guessing those concentric circles sort of represent him time warping.
Yeah, that's like the tail end of the time warp that he goes through.
But they're in the rainbow colors, which I think you theorized came much later.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So it looks like it must have started earlier.
Yeah. A little later, they show him in the time stream with the dates you like, that I liked.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting, this like, what is he coming to the future for?
Yeah, they keep it a mystery. It's still a mystery when you get to the end, but...
Well, it's like they're kind of breaking the fourth wall a little bit, right? Like,
definitely, yeah.
They're there to celebrate the 300th issue, basically.
Right. Yeah. He shows up, and all through the issue, everybody's like, "Oh, this is a special day." Right. Superboy's worried that there's going to be some bad guys show up and mess up their ceremony. Everybody's talking about getting to the ceremony on time, and Cosmic Boy's planned all this stuff, and everybody's showing up. And it turns out, I guess, not to spoil it. Should we spoil it? Well, you already did, I guess, huh? Like you get to the end, and it's like we're all here taking a big picture of everybody,
right,
on the occasion of the 25th anniversary or the 300th issue of the series.
right.
Weird.
Yeah, I think it's kind of fun.
Do they know they're in the comic book?
Well, they don't ever come out and say it, so it can ride that line without being too corny, I guess.
I guess. Like Superboy doesn't know because he's in the past. So maybe the guys in the future know that this is all fake. It's a comic book.
Right. So he arrives and is greeted by the Legionnaires, and he mentions, I was a little surprised by this. He says, I came as soon as Darkseid's Omega effect wore off. What does he mean by that? I know that's tied to the Great Darkness Saga, but has he been incapacitated all that time, or was he somehow trapped in the past?
He must have got blasted and maybe just hurt real bad by Darkseid. I don't remember.
Or like it wiped his memory temporarily. I don't know.
We should have been reading.
I should have looked it up.
And that was what Great Darkness Saga story. It wrapped up in like 296, and here's 300, I guess. So a few months ago is when this happened.
There should have been some kind of note from the editor for this one with an asterisk, but
well, geez, but look at all this text. Would there be room for such a thing? Like I was nervous reading this because I'm like, geez, can I read this whole comic book in one day with all these word balloons in here?
I could read. It's pretty easy.
Yeah, it kind of clears up once they start getting into the guest artist sections.
Supergirl joins them shortly after, and we haven't seen her. Also, like Superboy, we haven't seen them since the Great Darkness Saga. She says here she retired at some point, and I don't know if that was ever stated or if this is the reveal that she has been retired, and that's why we haven't seen her all this time.
Right. She hasn't been in a Legion comic in 15 years.
Except for Great Darkness.
Right. But yeah, now they're telling us it's because she retired.
Right.
So you can stop writing your letters. She retired.
And
I guess they do put in a little editorial explanation about how Superboy and Supergirl are from different decades.
Right.
We knew that.
Of course we knew.
What I want to know is what this Omega effect is and why she retired.
This might be the first time that's ever been openly addressed, that weirdness. Because they never really, except maybe when Alan Moore did that last Superman story, they never really play with that strange dynamic that she knows him as an adult. She knows his future.
Yeah. And they wouldn't even really be friends, right? Because Superboy has never met Supergirl except at times like this. And also, this is the costume that Supergirl is wearing in the 80s. Like, she looks like when you compare that costume with her original costume, where it was just like a Superman costume with a skirt. It's like, this is a totally different era. She looks like she's from the 70s, and we know Superboy is from the 40s or something, Smallville.
I think I kind of hated this costume when I was a kid, but I kind of dig it now. It's almost like a polo shirt or something with the symbol off to the side.
It's got like puffy sleeves. I like all her like all the different costumes they gave her for a while there. They all look pretty cool. Yeah,
I think that one she died in, I think maybe I read somewhere like that was the costume they were planning to use in the movie, and maybe that's why she was wearing it. Does that sound right?
It could be. I think that was kind of a new thing, that was sort of introduced. Like I remember there was when I was in school, there was like some freebie comic that had Supergirl in it. And she was wearing
the car wreck one. The car wreck one.
Yeah, I think so.
I remember that.
Is she wearing that different costume with? It's got like a.
It's like a drinking and driving thing, I think, or not wearing your seatbelts, maybe.
It has to be seatbelts, yeah. But that costume, does she have like a headband or something? Or
yeah, she had a headband.
Yeah, and some kind of like shoulder, like an angled stripe across the front somehow. I can't really remember.
I think the S was bigger, maybe, and it went up to her shoulders.
Yeah, it could be. But I know what you're talking about.
Right.
Yeah.
So Invisible Kid and Wildfire join the group, and they're coming right out of the issue we reviewed not long ago, where they were in that alternate dimension with the Invisible Kid doppelganger.
Yeah, but they're not coming out of that issue because that issue is 317. But it's the same limbo universe dimension.
Right. They went twice, right?
Yeah.
So this is from one of the two times. I don't remember which.
Right. The one from the Tales issue
first time
was the second
the Tales
time.
would be later. Right.
They do explain that you can see Wildfire outside his costume because they've dyed his energy form a different color.
Yeah. What does that mean?
Hell if I know.
I was
You
gonna
put him
ask
in
you
the
about
washing
that.
machine with a couple of drops of
Some
this
food
stuff.
coloring
Yeah.
on him. Spray some mist on him to make him visible.
Yeah, it doesn't
Yeah.
make any sense.
So he's moping or something and he refuses to get back in his costume. He's following Invisible Kid around, pestering him in his energy form.
I don't know how he does that either. Does he like burn him? I don't know. How do you bother him?
I don't know. Don't know.
Yeah, this is more inside baseball stuff. We needed to have read the last 5 issues to understand. They're not going to give us any
Okay.
idea except for this note that says this happened last issue.
You see Giffen still experimenting with, just knocking out the yellow part. Like the yellow part of him is always invisible, like it's green screen material.
Yeah, I think that's kind of cool. It's a cool idea. And like this panel here where Ultra Boy is like got his arm around him and you can see the ghostly version of Ultra Boy's arm back behind him. It's kind of cool. Kind of a neat effect.
Yep.
Anyway, the gang's all showing up. Oh, this page was funny where like Phantom Girl is just all over Superboy greeting him. Superboy's like, "Hey, sorry, Ultra Boy, I'm not trying to steal your girlfriend." And Ultra Boy says, "I know she's only being friendly."
Right.
Like she's a dog or something. I thought it was kind of a weird thing to say. Don't worry, she's just being friendly.
Ultra Boy can't do anything about it. He can only use one power at a time.
I know he's no match for Superboy.
Superboy would knock him into the next century. So then we change scenes to the Time Institute.
Yeah, they explained that Brainiac 5 had to do an emergency visit to the Time Institute.
He's constantly trying to cure people who sometimes he's responsible for being unwell. Like there's the Infinite Man. There is the Invisible Kid's younger sister, who, Invisible Kid was asking just a page before, like, why isn't he trying to cure my sister right now? Where the heck is he?
Right.
There was of course Mon-El forever and ever with the lead poisoning, and here's yet another person that he's sort of slowly procrastinatingly getting around to. Like, all these people are like sick for years and years, probably because he's too busy doing 100 other things. But
well, this person that he's come to cure, we've never even heard of this person that he's got to cure. It's as if he's got this whole backlog of people who he's responsible for fixing, and we maybe don't even know about most of them. You know what I mean? Like they might introduce another 2 this year of like, oh yeah, this is the guy Brainiac 5 is responsible for. I also thought it was kind of a funny line where, like Circadia Senius, the boss of the Time Institute, he kind of apologizes to
the Chronarch. The
Chronarch. Mm-hmm. He apologizes to Brainiac 5 for pulling him away from the big day over at Legion headquarters, and Brainiac 5 is like, it's cool. This is a prior obligation. Like,
right.
I don't know. It's like, yeah, this stuff, like saving these people always comes first.
Right.
But just like back to what you said,
years and years.
Yeah, it's obviously not a priority for most people. And even this guy, it's not a priority at all, typically.
Right. Because this guy, without giving away who he is yet, has been in Brainiac's care probably since the end of the Silver Age, right?
It must be.
Like he would have come to his care sometime like in the Jim Shooter era.
And they say it sounds like he's in bad shape.
Yeah.
Like they say that he's been here, and they show this guy like in this panel, like you see he's in this condition, like strapped into a machine. I don't know if he's like this all the time. They don't imply otherwise.
And screaming.
Yeah. They say years ago he showed up screaming, begging for help, and he's going through psychic pain that I've never seen it so bad before. Brainiac,
right?
Ron Vidar is here too. The kid sidekick to the Legion, Ron Vidar.
Is the Infinite Man also being housed in the Time Institute?
I don't know. Isn't he bouncing around the time stream? Well, wait. Yeah, they've got Jackson Rugard
in human
somewhere.
Form, right?
Yeah,
like being kept comatose. So. Well, he's running out of room at Legion headquarters. He's got the sister over there. He had to start putting bodies over at the Time Institute. I guess they are time-related ailments in their cases, but
I guess I wouldn't think the Time Institute would be quite equipped to like take care of like physical human needs. Like, yeah, okay, we irradiated you with time particles, and we got to keep an eye on you. But also, yeah, is Circadia Sentis going around like changing bedpans and stuff? Doesn't seem like that would be what they do there, you know?
Yeah, not sure. Yeah, so Ron Vidar, as you say, I guess I always said Vidar. Vidar sounds better. He has recently gotten a job here. I don't know how he didn't have a job there the whole time. He's always been a time related character. Like he invented the time cube, right?
That's what they say here. Yeah.
So there's the time cube, the time bubble, the time beacon. Was there another one? The time scanner. The time scanner. Circadius invented the time bubble, and Brainiac 5 helped him. He perfected it with him before he became a Legionnaire. It says, at least here. Maybe this is where it's first established. I'm not sure.
Yeah, and they say in Brainiac 5 invented the time beacon. Like that's his big achievement. Yeah. Or
right, which
his biggest, not his biggest achievement, I guess.
Which still makes no sense to me. But the idea that there's a beacon that can get you back to your time, your version of the future, doesn't make sense to me if alternate futures are occurring, if they're splitting off. Because if a future splits in two, it seems like both of them would have that time beacon.
Yeah, but I think just speculation here. I think we're each made up of particles that are specific to our own timeline.
Okay.
And we cannot exist in the incorrect timeline. Or if we can be in the time stream, but we wouldn't want to go. We could exist, I guess. Huh? They do that shit all the time.
Maybe it's tied to like is it Gardner Fox, like the Flash? The Flash is all like every dimension has a different vibration.
Right. Yeah. It's something like that.
Right.
Yeah. It's either particles or vibratory wavelength that our souls exist in. I think by the end of this issue, we'll all understand that shit.
For sure.
All the different timelines and stuff. That's what this whole comic is about.
Stay tuned for the meaning of life.
Yep. 55-page spectacular, explains the cosmos. Paul Levitz explains it all.
It will change your life.
But somehow they've got this dude strapped up to a machine. He's undergoing the worst nightmares, the worst psychic pain, and they've built a TV that records, I guess, and shows us his nightmares, plays them back real fast. They're all only a couple seconds long. They need Brainiac 5 to use his super intelligence to watch them real fast and
adjust the machine.
Does he turn off the nightmares? I don't understand. He's just there to watch the nightmares, I think. But then he's also talking about,
I don't know if he's like tuning into them, but only his computer brain can process it fast enough to keep the machine calibrated correctly. The machine, which Ron Vidar is, it's like his invention, and that is what has made this urgent all of a sudden, because he has recently been installed here at the Time Institute, and he has come up with this way for them to view this guy's dreams. Somehow in the past, they determined that the dreams were other worlds. They just had no way of viewing them till now. Still,
sounds like
not necessarily urgent, but now they can do something about it.
Sounds like a good contribution within his first year of work, huh? It's all downhill after this, Rond.
He was a boy genius.
Son of
you think maybe he was Jim Shooter? You think it's like Jim Shooter's alter ego?
Or maybe it's Paul Levitz's alter ego.
Maybe he showed up before Jim Shooter. I can't remember.
I don't remember either.
Anyway.
So on to the first of his visions. See, in the caption, they call these visions. So I'm still not clear if they're like visions that he's made up or if they're actual. And I think maybe Paul Levitz doesn't want us to know if these are actual alternate timelines or if they're merely visions that this guy's troubled mind conjures up.
We should state, unless we already did and I completely blanked it, that the Giffen part with Brainiac and the celebration is a framing sequence for several like vignettes that are each done in the style of a different period in Legion of Superhero history, and in most cases drawn by someone who was the artist at that time. The first one is the biggest stretch, I guess, in a way. It's not really a Legion story, it's a Superboy story, but of course the first 200 issues of this book was just Superboy. So we have Schaffenberger, who's strongly associated with the character, drawing the first one.
True. Schaffenberger didn't really draw Superboy, though, until the New Adventures of Superboy in like 1983, right?
Right, which is going on at this moment.
Yeah.
But he did, you're right, but he's a Silver Age super guy.
He's a throwback
He
guy.
did Lois
Yeah.
he did Lois Lane back then.
Captain Marvel.
Oh yeah, that's even further back, right?
Yeah, I don't know how much of that golden age Captain Marvel or the 50s Captain Marvel. I know he was doing the 70s Captain Marvel for sure.
I think he was a Golden Age guy. Like,
Yeah. He was around a long time. I know he was doing like that ACG type of stuff. What was that guy's name? There's like this mystical guy with like a green turban. Schaffenberg was on some of that. But yeah, also doing that Fawcett stuff here and there.
yeah, I love his art. I think he's a fantastic cartoonist. I like how he bridges superhero comics and cartoonier stuff.
Mm-hmm. It's weird though to me. I think of him as like a 70s and 80s guy, I guess.
Right.
Like I know it's like this old fashioned style, and he was working way back then. But like, I don't know, just because he did so much, like he was drawing shit in like Superman Family and Superboy and on and on and on.
Right.
Of 70s and 80s comics.
I think he had a long run on that Lois Lane comic.
Oh yeah.
Like in all those showcase books I have, it's like almost all him. I think maybe Kurt Swan might have done like the pilot in showcase, but I think once she got her own book, it was all him for a long time.
And this story also has Luthor as a villain for Superboy.
Young
Did that
Luthor.
happen? Did that happen very often? To me, that also strikes me as a later on type of deal, that Lex Luthor and Superboy were from the same town and all that stuff.
No, I mean, I don't know how far back it goes, but it goes at least as far back as the Legion. Like in one of their earliest appearances, they fight Luthor, don't they? I think you own the issue.
Sometimes they fight Luthor, but he's the adult Luthor from the present day and not the kid Luthor from Superboy's time. Isn't that right?
Well, like in issue 300, the bad guy turns out to be like a Luthor robot. And it's kind of confusing because he looks like a really old Luthor, but I think it was made by the young Luthor. I can't remember. It was something weird like that.
Huh.
But the younger Luthor who interacted with Superboy did have a few run-ins with the Legion.
Okay. I must not have ever read any of them.
Right. We'll get to them
someday.
But the fact that Luthor is like part of his growing up, I guess maybe some of the newer versions, like that Smallville show, have kind of reincorporated that. But that used to be such a huge divergence between the two. It just kind of reinforced. I've never really thought of Superboy as Superman. I've always thought of him as his own guy, like he's some weird alternate version of Superman.
Yeah.
Like in all the movies and stuff, he's never Superboy. So it'll just always seem like he belongs to like another Earth.
Like just like in this comic.
Right.
Yeah. Anyways, teenage evil Luthor has he's got some robots who are going to kill Superboy's best friends, Lana Lang and Pete Ross.
Honorary Legionnaires.
Yeah, they both are.
Both of them.
The plot of this little sequence is that the Legion of Superheroes shows up and helps Superboy defeat Luthor. That's about all there is to it. Introduces a couple of these they say they're new, Invisible Kid and Colossal Boy.
Yeah, they kind of explain it in a strange, like that they were kind of in the neighborhood, like they just happened to be swinging by, like I guess from further in the past. So when he called, they were like, "Oh, we're somewhat close to his time. We might as well just stop by."
Oh, weren't they? They're going there to invite him to this issue. It doesn't make any sense. The Legion shows up and says, "We're in the neighborhood because we're going to invite you to our ceremony in 2983."
Oh, okay.
Even though these are the Legionnaires from an alternate timeline, and they're the younger ones, not from
Mm-hmm.
today, not from whatever, not from here, this time period. They're from an earlier time period, but they're still inviting him to their ceremony in 2983.
Well, maybe they're celebrating the 300th issue of Adventure Comics.
Oh, they must be. You're right. Yeah. But they also point out that Pete Ross summoned them
Right.
with his signal device.
Mm-hmm.
And he like, as a wink to the audience, he's like, even though I'm not sure why they made me an honorary Legionnaire.
Right.
But he is one, and I guess even Superboy wouldn't know why he's an honorary Legionnaire, because Superboy, the whole deal with Pete Ross is that Pete Ross knows Superboy and Clark Kent are the same guy, but
Right.
Superboy doesn't know he knows that.
Yeah, it's kind of an inversion of a common trope in these kind of comics. Like, he knows the secret identity, but Superboy doesn't know that he knows.
Yeah, that's what I just said.
Oh.
But also Superboy wouldn't know, like, has Superboy ever said, hey, Brainiac 5, why? Tell me again why
is Pete Ross here?
Pete Ross in the Legion of Superheroes. What did he ever do?
Down girl, quick, wipe his memory. Yeah, you'd think he would get an identity like Insect Queen has.
Yeah, he doesn't get a fake superpower or anything. He's just always on his bike. He's like the paper boy.
But he ends up in the future a few times, I think. There's some weird shenanigans. They're so casual about time travel in the old comics. Like, I think like every now and then, like, Superboy will just bring his parents to the future to hang out with the Legion, pops them on his shoulders and goes
on his shoulders. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Here we go. We got the classic years, time warp, time tunnel.
Oh yeah, classic with the rainbow.
Yeah.
Superboy shows up late to the meeting.
I know. They're kind of bitching about it a little. He's always late these days.
Well, and they say he's late. I don't know how you actually travel through time to a specific time in the future and be late to it.
Yep.
But I guess it's just because he's procrastinating, right? Because he shows up and the first thing he does is like, I quit. He quits.
Right.
But they all know. He's like, you probably know this, but I'm quitting. And they're like, yeah, this is ancient history to us.
Yeah.
He explains that he's too grown up now to be gallivanting into the future. He needs to focus his time, and his parents are now dead. He needs to devote all his superpowers to protecting Earth and our only Earth of the 20th century.
Right. Yeah. I think the lateness is an extension of this weird, I don't know if it was an editorial mandate, or it's very common in time travel stories, older time travel stories, where, like, for some reason the present is always sort of locked with a moment in the future. Like, if it's been a week since Superboy's been to the future, it's been a week for the Legionnaires as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, they're always kind of running parallel.
Yeah, I think they must do that because, well, it helps.
It's less confusing. They're not running into each other out of sequence that way.
Right. We all understand. I think at this point we understand that Superboy could go into the future and live there for a year and then go back to Smallville like 10 seconds after he left, and he would just be a year older somehow or whatever.
Right.
But yeah, but maybe back in the old days, like, this was such a weirdo concept that you couldn't expect anyone to really understand that. He lives, he spends a week there and he goes back and it's 7 days later in the past.
Right.
But did he leave late? So you're saying maybe he left Smallville late?
Right.
He was dropping Luthor off in jail and he was running late?
Right, exactly.
Huh. I think he didn't want to quit. I think it's like when you quit your job.
And
you're like, well, is today the right day to do it? Are they going to be mad at me if I quit?
Maybe I should find another job first. Maybe I should apply at the Justice League first and wait for them to call me back.
Yeah. He's like, the Daily Planet hasn't called me back yet, but I think I'm a shoe-in. I already bought my blue suit and red tie. And I gotta fucking grow up. I can't be in a superhero club anymore.
Right. He says his parents have recently died. I'm guessing that's a divergence here.
I don't know when his parents died.
I think in the old Superboy comics, like, they die right around the time he goes to college.
He kills them, right?
Right. I don't need you guys anymore.
Right. You guys did a great job raising me, and then he turns on the heat vision and just eradicates.
Yeah, there was some weird shit, like maybe the whatever made them younger started to make them sick.
Wow, that's messed up.
I remember right.
It's kind of the way the movie worked.
Hmm.
Well, I was just watching that a while back, and it's like, yeah, Pa Kent has a heart attack,
Yeah.
and then he leaves for 10 years, and in those 10 years, his mom dies. He's not even there for it, you know?
She's totally not dead. She's totally not dead because
Is she in
Lois,
Superman too?
no, you're right about it. She doesn't show. It is odd that we never see him like, hey, mom, I'm sorry I've been gone for 10 years.
Uh-huh.
But he asked Perry White, he says, can you take half of my salary and send it to this address? And Lois said something like, let me guess, it's for your
Oh, you're
gray
right. I
haired
remember
grandma
this.
or something like that.
Yeah, you're
Gray
right.
haired mother. And he goes, silver hair, actually.
You're right. I remember that.
Right. And then I guess it's not canon, but in Superman Returns, is it? Which is sort of a continuation, supposedly, of that version of Superman. We do see her in that.
Well, how old must she be in that one? Because when
I
he
don't
leaves
know.
Smallville, she is so
Hmm.
old. Like, that's an old lady. And that's why I
Yeah.
thought, oh, 10 years later, yeah, she probably has passed away by then. But in Superman Returns, he's supposed to have left again for 10 more years, right?
I don't think it's 10 the second time. I think
But
it
didn't
might be
you?
5.
You're the one who told me to watch like the deleted scene where
Yeah.
it's the
That's really
beginning and
cool.
he goes to Krypton.
Yeah.
And like there's like the time dilation shit where it actually takes him 10 years to go to Krypton and come back. Or he goes there and he gets stuck for a long time and comes back.
Yeah. I mean, he's gone for years, long enough for this kid who's his to be, what is he, like 6 years old?
I can't remember. I guess he's probably gone for 5
7.
years then.
I think he's gone 5. It might be 10. You don't know.
Well,
His
how
mom
long
actually looks a little younger than she did in the first Superman.
is it? Marissa Tomei?
Yeah. Yeah, right. Like Spider-Man.
Or is it, oh, it's
Yeah,
Diane Lane. Mm-hmm.
yeah.
She's the Man of Steel mom, right? Her and Kevin
Yeah.
Costner, I
Yep.
think,
Yep.
right?
Yep. That was right. Uh
Those are some hot parents to have.
that first lady, the first lady, she's in like a shit ton of Alfred Hitchcock Presents and Twilight Zones.
Oh,
Maybe the
yeah.
second lady was too.
But yeah, I think in this story, all the Superboy and the Legionnaires, they're all on the cusp of adulthood. They're probably all 19 or something, right?
Well, here's the thing. I think in this alternate reality, his parents have died younger than they did in the regular Legion storyline. Like this is earlier in their career
Oh, okay.
because they would have, if they're still kind of time locked or whatever, in sync with one another, like it would have been closer to like 1980, maybe when he decides he has to stop coming because he's going to be Superman soon or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess so. And like, yeah, I guess the Pete Ross and Lana Lang are still kids, huh?
Right. And this I feel like they're implying with this illustration, like this is early in their career. Like
Yeah,
this
you're
looks
right.
like their first appearance where they're all sitting at the table together. It's almost looks like it's drawn from, that issue
Yeah, this
where
is
those guys
definitely
first appeared.
meant to be from the Superboy era,
Mhm.
pre Legion of Superheroes, I guess.
Yeah, got the rocket ship.
But he does say that um, he's going to become Superman.
Right. But it's very different. Like somehow they don't go into it, but for whatever reason, when he died earlier, his parents died earlier. He had to make some promise, like he's only going to defend Earth from now on. He's not going to go out into space or do anything else. And like Brainiac 5 soon says, like, well, that's bullshit. That's not how it happened. Everybody in the universe knows who Superman is.
Brainiac 5 says, before we could hear more of Superboy's resignation speech, the patient, this is the guy in the Time Institute hooked up to the machines, the patient began to writhe in anguish. He's in such bad shape, this patient. Yeah, he's just screaming. How do they put up with this guy? I think they would have euthanized him by now, or
right.
used their technology to erase his memory so he wouldn't remember anything.
Throw him in the Phantom Zone.
Yeah. But they're just kind of like on to the next one.
Right,
They're visiting his nightmares once again.
I kind of like that profile drawing, the Giffen profile drawing of B5 on the bottom.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
There's a bunch of those, or I feel like there's a handful of those profile drawings in this.
All right, so the second vision, yeah, So this one is drawn by Howard Bender with Frank. My eyes are going on me. How do you say that name?
I say
Giacola.
Giacoya or Jacoya.
So this is like an homage, or it's intended to look kind of like John Fort, right? It's in the style of John Fort.
We're out of the Superboy period and we've moved ahead to the John Fort Adventure Comics Legion era art style. And he's even signed it Fort Est. Don't quite know what that means, but that's what it says down there.
So he did the Fortest job he could. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess. It looks good. I think this is my favorite art in the comic.
It's a little uneven. Some of the drawings towards the end of it aren't as good, but definitely like the second, third. Like I mentioned before, like was it page 14? It reminds me of Dan Clowes.
Oh yeah.
Like that Saturn girl drawing, especially in the middle.
Definitely. Yeah, it looks like
character in like the ray gun or
the shit from David Boring.
David Boring, yeah.
Yeah. This story, it takes place in a world where a bunch of Legionnaires died. The subsequent ones after this kind of sync up with Legion stories that actually occurred with a slight change to them. This one, I don't know what this one is supposed to hook up with.
Right. Like what issue it
where it diverges from where instead of a bunch of the Legionnaires saving the day, they all got killed, or 7 of them got killed.
Right. Well, they mentioned like Brainiac had an antimatter weapon, did not work.
And it kills Brainiac 5, doesn't it? Yeah.
I think so. And it involved the Legion of Supervillains. I should have looked back. I bet that probably is the plot of one issue.
In this story, it has the Legion of Supervillains team up with Computo. And the Legion inducts the substitute heroes because just as they just need to fill in some slots real fast. So since 7 of their guys have died, they bring in the subs, even though their powers are, in the past were inferior enough that they couldn't get membership. Now you're good enough because we need to replace the 12th level intelligence guy. So we're going to use you, Chlorophyll Kid.
And they will regret that. It kind of seems like shortly. Is this like their second run in with Computo? Because I think it's already Duo Damsel, right?
Yeah, he calls her Triplicate Girl in this panel, but he's already killed one of her bodies. So Computo for some reason has got it wrong. He's not up to date. He needs a Windows update. I guess
he's taunting her. Hi, Triplicate Girl. Oh, that's right. I killed one of you.
And then he kills another one of them, like right off the bat.
Right.
And then he kills the third one. He just wipes out Duo Damsel or Triplicate Girl here in this story.
And then that goofball sub, Polar Boy, thinks he'll save the day by trying to freeze them, and he just ends up freezing all of them and getting them all killed.
Yep. He freezes everybody down to absolute zero.
Good going, dumbass.
Brainiac 5, in his notes, I looked on helplessly as they died, frozen and electrocuted, all in the same instant. All in the same instant. But then he wakes up. The dream ends.
But actually, I think you were right, though, because this is the Time Institute. So he was watching helplessly in the same institute as he's viewing all these.
This time around, though, the patient is so upset that he begins to break the bonds that they have him trapped in.
Right.
The vision's too much for him, is what Ron Vidar says. Well, they say Circadia Senius, he says, cut the stimuli beam by 50%. So they're shooting a beam at him to stimulate him to have the nightmares.
Right.
So I guess maybe he doesn't always have the screaming fits and isn't. I don't know. At the beginning, Brainiac 5 said he's been in constant psychic anguish, I think, all these years. But they surely don't shoot a stimuli beam at him 24/7, right?
It seems like they've amped it up to get better, stronger results.
Okay.
And they have to cut it back.
I think they're torturing this guy. And I don't know.
Yeah, another Brainiac in profile there with lots of shadow.
Yeah, deep shadow. Even his index finger's got a deep shadow on
Yeah, it's very. I wonder where he lifted that from. Maybe he was
it.
looking at some Charles Burns.
Or one of the EC guys.
Right. Looks great. Okay, so this is the thing that really pushes the clarity over the edge. It's a little hard to follow, but somewhat cliche to have like a framing sequence and then like a bunch of flashbacks seated within it. But then we have another plot line running through this that is not tied to either of those directly. Like it's just set in the same, it's set in the present. It's thematically connected because
Right,
it's all
right.
about that future, but and it works okay, but it does make it a little convoluted because it doesn't neatly tie into the framing sequence. It's
Right. We cut away from the Time Institute stuff to the science asteroid, which I don't think they've ever had the science asteroid in a comic before. They mention it on the cover of the classic adult Legion story.
Mhm.
But I don't know that it's been on screen ever, the science
Mhm.
asteroid. But Mon-El and Shadowlass are there, and Shadowlass is in whiteface. She's usually blue. She's
Right.
painted herself like a Caucasian human to,
Right.
I don't know, get a rise out of Mon-El, I guess.
Yeah, it's a little strange.
Mon-El thinks that she's doing it to make herself more attractive to him. Like
Mhm.
that seems like what he's saying. I don't know if he's
Right.
or he's kidding around.
Well, she knows what xenophobic racists the Daxamites are. Yeah, it is strange, especially when in the past they've been pretty blatantly using her blue skin as sort of a stand-in for an ethnic type, like an African American
Yeah.
or sometimes like a native, an indigenous American.
On the cover of this is the adult Legionnaires story, Adventure Comics 354, and it shows Shadow Woman. It says she died saving the science asteroid, and she's white on the actual cover. Here she looks literally white, and the color is really
Hmm.
washed out and
Hmm.
crappy. She's a
Hmm.
Caucasian human type
Right.
on this cover, and yeah, this is the first time we've ever seen her. I don't know if she appears in this comic at all in the in Adventure
Yeah.
354. But it says she died on the science asteroid.
It's weird that they'd go to such lengths to make that continuity line up, but then didn't do anything with her hair. Like, might as well put a wig on, or
Right. Yeah.
I don't know how long she's been sporting this haircut.
I mean, I think this is a cap. I don't know if it's a haircut or if it's a cap.
Oh.
But one way or the other, it's not what she looked like on that cover. But
Mhm.
they did do this, or Paul did this machinations to make her a white person for this issue.
Scary. This could be the issue. Prophecy is coming true.
She might die by the end of this issue.
Mhm.
Shadowlass might die in whiteface.
Ooh,
Like imagine
that would be rough.
Eddie Cantor. He gets killed and he's in blackface.
Yeah. I mean, maybe power dynamics change a lot in the next 1,000 years, but I mean, if white people are still kind of the predominant, like they're controlling culture and they're the majority or whatever.
Oh, I think I see where you're going with this.
Good, because I just forgot. But
Like
yeah, it's
it would be okay if Shadowless had to do that to pass to get a better
right.
spot in society.
And not that it's okay, but it's sort of in that case, it's sad versus problematic. Like that
Right,
she
right.
feels like she has to pass. Because yeah, in this feature, clearly, like almost everybody's white still of the humans. So
That's right. I think everybody on Daxam is a white person.
well, on Daxam especially, they're kind of like a racist planet, possibly as a result of Great Darkness Saga.
I think they were isolationist even prior to that. I don't know why.
Right. I mean, it's all just probably an excuse for keeping them out of stories. Because
Yeah.
otherwise, you just have like a whole planet full of Superman powered people floating around.
Right. In the reboot period, I think they do go so far as to say they're xenophobic and they hate
Right.
other
Right.
races.
Right.
Up to now, it's just like whatever, they're isolationists because of who knows what.
Well, let's be honest. Isolationists are almost always really racist.
Oh, yeah, you're probably right. Yeah, you're right. Mon-El himself is not a racist because he's got a blue
Right.
girlfriend and he's really cool hanging out with
Right.
all these other alien races. And he's not even scared of this horrifying looking alien.
Right. And he comes from 1,000 years earlier. Things were probably very different there. That was before the alt-right had gotten its foothold.
But wasn't the world more racist in the past?
His world or our world?
I don't know. All worlds? I don't know.
I don't know. I could see it going both ways. It seems like it's on the rise right now, isn't it?
Yeah. They're getting attacked. The science asteroid is getting attacked, I guess, by a giant humanoid-shaped Kundian robot.
Yeah. Did they ever explain why?
Not one bit. I don't think this thing ever shows up again.
It's pretty cool looking.
It is super cool. I guess it's kind of like a mobile suit, huh? Like in Gundam.
Is there like a guy in there?
Well, I guess there's not. It's just a robot, huh?
Mm-hmm.
The humanoid space battle bot from the Kundian Empire attacks the science asteroid, but then they cut back to Ron Vidar and the next nightmare that they're inflicting on this poor man at the time institute who's screaming in anguish. It's this one is drawn by Kurt Swan and Dan Adkins.
Like Ron says, the dream is very similar to the one that seemed to spark the patient's first nightmare years ago.
Oh, there's a clue.
Right. But that issue was also drawn by Kurt Swan.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
We can tell right off the bat, Validus looks really weird in this one. He's got like googly eyes. And he's got his mouth is always kind of hanging open like an ape or something.
Yeah, in some of the panels, he seems like he is being drawn like a gorilla or something.
Yeah, I don't think they show him like straight on. Maybe they do. It's like over his shoulder a lot of the times.
Right. But he's sort of hunched over like an ape.
Yeah, he's drawn a little bit differently. This Dan Adkins ink work. Dan Adkins is kind of like a Wally Wood disciple. I think he probably worked with Wally Wood. But this totally looks like a Wally Wood hand right here of Mano. Kind of a good finish on Kurt Swan.
For sure. It's a good hand. Hands are really, really hard.
But yeah, this is a Fatal Five, and they're fighting the adult Legion, and that means dudes like Timberwolf with a pencil mustache.
Yes, probably my favorite of the adult Legion. Like they all have like these very thin, like silly prop changes to them to signify that they're older. Yeah. Like Brainiac 5 has the pipe.
Right. Yeah.
I like that he has this pencil thin mustache. It really suits him.
Right. Yeah. These kind of superficial things.
Right. But I love it. It kind of makes him look sleazier, like a salesman or something.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. But see, it makes him look cooler in a way. Yeah, right. But we know that he gets less and less cool as time goes on. Timberwolf. Right. So this is not an accurate portrayal of the actual future.
He might rebound. You never know. Also, interestingly, I think this future that they've returned to is where he first got the name Timberwolf.
They named him Timberwolf in the Adult Legion story before he got called Timberwolf back in the regular earlier times.
Right.
He was Lone Wolf.
But I guess they decided it worked so well, they just imported it back.
Yeah, because there's a handful of Adult Legion. Over in Superman, when the Legion of Supervillains showed up, that's kind of the same continuity as the Adult Legion story. Or they just kind of did that retroactively, I assume.
No, I think the adult we first see the Adult Legion pretty early on. They're not quite the same as what Jim Shooter has fleshed out, and I think it's just the three founders.
So prior to Adventure 354, you've kind of seen.
I'm pretty sure, and they may have just peripherally been like they showed up to pick up the Legion of Supervillains and take them to future jail, but they showed up pretty early on. I think this could all be bullshit.
I don't know one way or the other. They are using the contemporary, I guess, Karate Kid costume Like Timberwolf still has his old Adventure Comics days kind of costume,
Right.
but they put the modern Karate Kid costume on Karate Kid or Karate Man or whatever he's called.
Karate King.
Karate King.
I think that was a good idea. I hadn't thought about it, but all the kids are kings in the future. The boys are the mans, but if their name was Kid, they changed to King.
I wonder if what Chemical King changed his name to. He didn't have to change it, huh?
He switched it to Kid.
Mr. Chemical King.
It just was Chemical King though when he died, because he's on the cover, right? He's one of the dead Legionnaires. But he must have shown up before, because I think he joined the same time Timberwolf did. Unless did Timberwolf not join the first time he showed up? Did he come back later and join?
I think so, yeah.
Right.
But yeah, I think on this 354 cover, it's like these two guys we know, and these three people we had never seen before.
Right.
Except maybe Quantum Queen. Yeah, she didn't show up until like 375 or something like that, right? As a member of the Wanderers.
Right. They've all shown up since, but maybe at that time only Fear led.
The adult Legionnaires now are fighting with the Fatal Five. Forgot what they're fighting about.
They're attacking that space station or that ship, right? And the Legion is defending it. They've entered the territory.
Oh yeah, they've just encroached into their territory, and that's the entire reason for this battle. Legionnaires show up and kick their asses.
It's like the plot to every other Star Trek. You know, he's going into Klingon territory.
This is cool. Karate Kid uses some space karate, like 0G karate, to beat up the Persuader. All the other Legionnaires are tied up with the rest of the Fatal Five, and it leaves Chameleon Boy to fight Validus. And so he disguises himself as Validus and scares the shit out of Validus, and that's how he defeats him.
You know, I thought maybe he was like he had the hots for Chameleon Boy. Like he thought Chameleon Boy turned into like a sexy lady Validus.
Oh, that would have been a good idea.
Because he kind of has that expression, you know. He's like, what?
Yeah, he's got those big bug eyes.
He should have had his heart beating out of his chest. It's a wolf face.
Right. If they had showed Chameleon Boy like put on lipstick and get his lips real juicy and big.
It backfires on him. He's running away. Get me out of here. Being chased by Validus. Probably can't do that these days in cartoons.
Nope. But yeah, there's just a very simple adventure of the adult Legion and the Fatal Five, and then they cut back to Legion headquarters. Sunboy is walking through they call it the Hall of Heroes or something, or just their memorial place with all the dead Legionnaires.
Yeah, and Sunboy is uncharacteristically, like, maybe it's because he's older, but he's not a douche in this. He's kind of wise. He's telling Karate Kid that he can't know that he was responsible for the flu that killed Projectra.
Yeah. Sunboy's talking to the Pharaoh Lad statue, and he's wondering if Pharaoh Lad blames the Legionnaires for killing him or for his own death. And then Karate Kid comes and is like, don't be so hard on yourself. You can never know what dead people think. Right. Paul Levis is folding in Pharaoh Lad into the story because by now we're starting to get the idea that this guy in the Time Institute, maybe it's Pharaoh Lad. He's still alive somehow.
You know, Pharaoh Lad's ghost showed up one time. I think he was pissed that he got killed.
Yeah, just give me that issue. All in this Pharaoh Lad hardcover. Yeah.
Right.
The ghost of Pharaoh Lad shows up and tells them they have to leave because he's so mad at them for killing him or something like that.
Right.
But then he saves them.
That's right. They have a seance. That is so cool. That is so cool. That's what they need to be doing nowadays. How come they never do anything crazy like that anymore?
Well, they did another seance in Magic Wars.
Oh, really? I don't remember that.
Projectra talks to Pharaoh Lad, Invisible Kid, and maybe Chemical King. All three of them in the seance, I think.
Whoa. We got to look at that one of these days.
That's probably the coolest thing in that thing, and it's about 2 pages worth of stuff. But yeah, Pharaoh Lad's like, you took my life as acting leader. It was your duty to deliver the bomb, Superboy. But you pretended weakness and tricked me into carrying it. So he's trying to change in the story. So I'm not sure what this ghost thing is about. Because the whole story is that Pharaoh Lad tricked Superboy or knocked out Superboy and took the bomb.
Of course. Like this seems like something a villain has cooked up to like sow doubt into the characters and make them break up. But if I
Yeah.
remember right, on the last page, maybe they debunk this ghost, but then we like see the real Pharaoh Lad's ghost on like the last couple panels, like walking the
Right.
halls.
And the editor is like, do you still doubt that ghosts can return from the dead? Then who turned the L on Superboy's
Right,
ring?
right,
And there's a screen version of Pharaoh Lad.
right.
So yeah, this one must be a fake. Was
Yeah, it's like
generated by the controllers.
The
Yeah.
Scooby Doo ending, but then there's the real vampire shows up after they've unmasked the fake one.
Look at this guy. This is Char from Mobile Suit Gundam here. Pretty far out.
I don't know who that is, but I believe you.
He's the bad guy in Gundam.
A lot of overlap there. I think the Legion could be a good manga.
Totally would be good. That's how I would do it if I was running the show, if I ran the zoo. But that's the whole purpose of this story, I guess, is like they let Kurt Swan and Dan Adkins draw the Fatal Five, but it's irrelevant to this segment of the story. The meat of the story is this conversation between Karate Kid and Sunboy about the nature of regret and forgiveness of those whose deaths we're responsible for.
Mm-hmm.
And then also to put it in the mind of the audience that maybe these visions are all being produced by Pharaoh Lad.
Right. We're at least halfway through. Right.
Yeah, this is going faster than I thought it would.
Yeah.
Back to the Time Institute.
So this seems to be the most progress they've made thus far. Like this reality seems more beneficial to him than the others. I guess he's not screaming at the end.
They don't show him screaming, I guess. They show his brain, or they show his x-ray. I don't think they're too clear. At least when I read this, I wasn't too clear on whether they're watching his nightmares in real time or whether they're replaying recordings of his nightmares back to him to get him stirred up. I kind of feel like they shift between as the story goes without really telling us.
Right.
Yeah, like you're saying, they see that this one he's reacting differently, and then I guess maybe the next one they're like play it again or something like that. I don't remember. It just to me it was like, wait, is he dreaming this right now or is he watching a tape of his dream? And it's kind of irrelevant one way or the other. It's just not clear at all to me after having read this comic.
Right. We switched to back to the celebration preparations.
Oh wait, well before that, there's this awesome drawing of of the patient with his little
shedding a tear,
little eye glow. I don't know. He's not screaming, so yeah, that's progress, like you said.
Mm-hmm. Though it pains them to revisit this, or even though it's an alternate reality, I guess it's what makes it painful. Oh, the Pharaoh Lad part, I assume that they were dwelling on his death towards the end of the last version.
Yeah, that must be what makes it painful. And there's another this other word balloon here is more implication that we're looking at Pharaoh Lad somehow.
Right.
Brainiac 5 says the twisted, mutated body he was born into, and now even his mind is warped. So it's like, who could this be besides Pharaoh Lad? And the clothes he's wearing looks just like a Pharaoh Lad costume.
Well, I have a theory that I should save till the end, but I'll just say I wonder if it is Pharaoh Lad.
Oh.
We can talk about that at the end.
In the conclusion section of this episode?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay, now back to the
Legion headquarters and the preparations for the celebration of their 300th issue. We have Cosmic Boy and White Witch showing up, and we have RJ Brand and Chameleon Boy. A couple times throughout this, we see them referring to things going on currently in the regular series, something that rarely happens these days in an annual. Annuals really isolate themselves from whatever's going on in the monthly books as much as possible, I feel.
This isn't an annual.
Oh, you're right. It's not. It just feels like an annual.
Yeah, it's just a triple size regular monthly issue.
You're right. It is a regular issue.
It's approached just like all the other Paul Levitt's annuals, the anthology style with some guest artists. And it fits like they have annuals 1 and 2, and then this, and Legion of Substitute Heroes special. Like they were doing these big fat ones. Giffen, I guess, could just generate the layouts for hundreds of pages at a time and not have a problem with it, so they could do these big issues.
It was the methods of Keith Giffen. It was his method
Right.
and meth.
The Crystal Keith Giffen method.
Mm-hmm.
The speedy method.
Right. So it looks like they're about to go off on their adventure to try to get their powers back, right?
Yeah. And what a weird way to tell this story. Like they go and they lose their powers and then they come back, and a couple of months later it's like, oh, we're gonna go back and try to get our powers back.
Right.
Back on, they're going back and forth between Metropolis and planet Durla, where the chameleon shapeshifter people are from.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they're ever trying to get RJ Brand's powers back. He doesn't care. He likes being a fat rich guy, but it's a chameleon boy who obviously he can't be a Legionnaire if he doesn't have his superpowers.
Did you know is his name E. Nelson Bridwell?
Yeah, Bridwell.
Bridwell. Did you know he created RJ Brand?
Well, I mean, I knew he wrote that Legion Origin, I think, or the Superboy 147. And is that the first appearance of Brand?
I'm not sure about that, but he created him. I somehow didn't connect the dots that he was a Silver Age writer, but he was also writing way later. He was writing the Legion like in the late 70s, early 80s. Same guy.
Yeah, he was writing it when they first showed up as the backup in Superboy. I think he was writing those.
He was writing those as well.
Okay. Yeah, like the one we read, the one where Lightning Lad, Lightning Lass, and Timberwolf go and they track down Lightning Lord, and Lightning Lord gets his white hair in that story.
Okay,
that's by Bridwell and Tuska, I think.
He wrote a couple adventure comics issues, I think, before Shooter came along.
Oh, before Shooter? Wow. Mm-hmm. I didn't know he was from that far back.
Yeah. So yeah, he had a long history with them, and of course, he was famously Mort Weisinger's like whipping boy, right?
That's what I was about to say. I was going to be like his whipping boy.
Yeah, at least according to Jim Shooter.
Yeah, I think I've seen that in other places too. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But he's the dude who's like prior to Mark Waid, he was Bridwell was like the
continuity cop.
DC continuity know-it-all guy.
RJ's first appearance, I think it was in Adventure Comics. I'm sure they didn't intend him to be, Chameleon Boy's dad until, that secret history. I think that's also why they feel comfortable like drastically changing his origin each time they reboot it, because if it's not from like the Silver Age, it isn't canon. Like other people did that. 1966, Adventure Comics 350.
Adventure 350. And was that written by Bridwell?
Mm-hmm.
I want you to elaborate on what you just said about why they feel comfortable changing his origin every time they reboot it. What did you mean?
Well, in a lot of it would seem with both Marvel and DC, like the Silver Age stuff is kind of set in stone, but everything built upon it, you can freely like tear down, but you can't touch the early stuff that everything is based upon.
Oh, so you can change RJ Brand's origin, but you can't like say he never existed or something, because his existence is Silver Age, but all the other developments are much later.
Well, it's a lot more prominent on the Marvel side. Like the Kirby, Ditko, Stan Lee stuff is like the first act. The third act, of course, is like the end, the future. You'll never get there, right? Because the characters don't age. That's always going to be like your Kingdom Come kind of stories.
Uh-huh.
The second act, you just they keep rewriting the second act over and over and over, and they erase it and rewrite it, but they never touch the first act.
Yeah, okay. It's like a fence,
mm-hmm.
and you don't ever replace the board. You just keep adding new coats of paint to it.
Right. Yeah, which one was Adventure 350?
And I guess that's after Shooter's already kind of he started already. He started in 346, right? Okay. Was that his first issue, the one where they introduce those new four? Yeah.
Yeah. That would make sense. I think maybe they were alternating a little bit, because there's this strange thing after he starts where every few issues there'll be a story that doesn't have any of those four guys, and it could have been written 3 years earlier. There's like kind of an incongruity for a little while. I wonder if those are the Birdwell issues. Oh, I think you have this one, don't you? It's the one where they get kicked out. Superboy and Supergirl get kicked off the team. Maybe you don't.
I don't have that. I was just trying to buy that one today.
Not only is it RJ Brand's first appearance, it's Prince of Evilo's first appearance, Devil's Dozen, and the Hag / White Witch.
Oh,
so there's a lot of
see that. I guess that's why that one is worth $80
because
all those first appearances. Yeah.
So I think are we heading into the Cockrum story?
Yeah. They flash back from Legion headquarters back to the Time Institute, and now the mysterious patient, he's laughing watching the playback or watching the nightmare that he's having, but it is a funny nightmare that makes him laugh.
Wait a minute. So that's the patient, right?
Yeah.
Why is he laughing?
I don't know. Because they finally found something, a nightmare that'll entertain him instead of horrify him, I guess.
Oh, okay.
Circadia Sanius is saying, begin the dreams again. See, now they have control. Before I thought they were watching his dreams as he was dreaming them, but now they're playing the videos, or playing the dreams to him as if they were on a VCR. And this one's a funny one. It must be a Seinfeld.
He's probably looking at this kick-ass page. I think this is the best drawing in the whole book. It's
cool. It looks like Gene Colan, like this body body language, I guess, or this style.
Yeah.
Or I don't know what. It's like the foreshortening and stuff of Wildfire looks like Gene Colan and doesn't look like Dave Cockrum.
Right.
But yeah, they've got this sweet ass space headquarters that they're talking about.
Right.
And they say it's new. This is Ultra Boy and Wildfire flying towards this cool space scape with a new headquarters with domed pods all over it and stuff. And you can see, I just noticed their little tiny shuttle way down here. The classic Dave Cockrum Enterprise is down there.
Yeah.
To give it a little scale.
Yeah, it's neat because it's reminiscent of the rocket ship, but like on a larger scale.
Yeah. Just an idea that they should have a spaceship shaped like the Interlac L, like the LexCorp building or something.
Yeah. I agree that it does look kind of like Colan. It's weird. It's incongruous kind of certainly the rest of this issue that he draws. Like if I had to guess which Legion artist did it, I probably would have guessed the guy who does the next story, the Mordru story.
Oh, Sherman. To me, it doesn't look like a Sherman drawing, but this doesn't say Cockrum. This doesn't look like a Cockrum page. Maybe it's something I assume this is all laid out by Giffen, so maybe it's something in the combo makes it look a little different.
Maybe. But
the rest of it is straight up Cockrum. I mean, not straight up, but
it doesn't seem like Giffen either, though. It seems this is more. It doesn't look like Walt Simonson, but it's more like the style of drawing. He like a very kinetic. There's lots of motion in this, lots of lines. It's very, very, very dynamic. But it's very different from the rest of it, which is okay.
The Cockrum and the Jim Sherman one are, and maybe even the Staten, I don't remember, but like I'm pretty sure they got a layout from Keith Giffen on this one, but they don't follow it, or that's their guideline. Whereas other times the artists are very slavish to it, and you can tell it still looks like a Keith Giffen comic. These guys are doing their own thing. Right.
They're like, fine, we're going to do it. But if we're going to do it, we're doing it our way.
Right. And this story takes place in I guess, even farther future period than the last one. I guess that's kind of how they're doing it. Now the Legionnaires are all much older. They all have crags on their faces. And they're talking about having to join a space war. And they vote on whether they should or not, because being soldiers in a war, that behavior violates the Legion Constitution.
They have not aged nearly as well in this world. We're all chain smokers in this world or something. They all have very severe scrunched up faces.
Yeah, they all look real tired.
Like even Superman looks way angrier and older than.
Right.
I guess this is like a 50-year-old Superman. Maybe they're in their 50s. I don't know.
Maybe it's just because they're just constantly pissed at each other.
They're pissed. Yeah, yeah. Though Element Lab looks pretty cool with the Green Arrow look.
Yeah, he's real cool. You can tell, or you can imagine him being a chain smoker, though, definitely. But like a cool chain smoker. Like he has like 15 girlfriends.
Right.
A cool guy like that.
Yeah, him and
Tyrock.
Yeah, thank you. Like, yeah, they came out the best. With maybe the beards just help. The other guys just look weathered.
Yeah, when you grow facial hair in middle age, it kind of it will sort of cover up your jowls.
Oh, right. Is that Wildfire drawing recycled from somewhere?
Where he's pointing at him?
Uh-huh.
I don't know. It looks kind of familiar. And the fact that it's not complete down here at the bottom does make it seem like it got traced or just clipped out of somewhere else.
I do love the when it's sort of more, it's rounder, like almost like a fishbowl kind of sticking out a little bit.
I think Cockrum almost always did it that way, didn't he?
Right.
To me, it doesn't look quite right. It's kind of funny that way. But like this panel down here, it doesn't work in that one.
Right.
But this, where it's kind of bulging, looks kind of cool.
Yeah.
Superboy is also flanked by photos of the dead Legionnaires, and in this world, Pharaoh Lad and Invisible Kid are dead, as they are in the way we understand history, but also
Karate Kid
and Shadowlass are dead, and they do Shadowlass here because she might still die in this issue. We don't know yet. This could be the future that we're going to expect in the Legion of Superheroes comics.
So the Legion's pretty sick and tired of following Superman's lead on we don't kill the bad guys, we put them in jail. But they've had it. They want to just start playing for keeps.
Well, they have to, otherwise they have to sit out this war, right? I don't remember who they're fighting in the war. Just the Coons, like usual.
Yep. You got to lean on that Z at the end.
Yeah, well, I got to lean on the D, but I forgot. I actually hit on the S instead. The Coon does. But they vote to become killers.
Right. So Superman leaves in disgust, never to return.
So disgusted. Yeah, now they cut over to the home of Dream Girl and Starboy and their three kids. They have kids like in the cartoons where the kids are just like child versions of the adults, and they have a Dream Girl daughter and they have two Starboy boys. Right,
probably twins, because comic book parents always have twins for some fucking reason.
They all take fertility drugs because they probably do have difficulty having kids because of all the battles.
Wearing that spandex, the tight spandex, takes its toll.
Yeah, and they get blasted, and they're like football players, and they have 20 concussions every weekend.
Right.
Like this Starboy, this guy, what a meathead! This guy's got definitely has had 20 concussions every weekend for the last 5 years.
It's funny because they're like older versions of the Starboy and Dream Girl of that period. Like we have an idea of what Starboy looks like older, and it's not this.
Right.
But if you look at the old pre-bearded version of him, you could kind of see him turning into this guy.
Yeah.
Well, they kind of drew his face differently back when he had that crew cut.
Yeah, and the Dream Girl too, like instead of having her get like chubbier as she's gotten older, she's actually gotten a little more like she's lost body mass. And so she looks skinny and wiry.
She's a little sunken in.
But these two are talking to each other, and they are sad, I guess, that the Legion has voted to become killers, and that they say that if the rule that married Legionnaires had to leave, they probably wouldn't have voted to become killers because all the rational Legionnaires were the ones who wound up getting married and left the team.
Of course, they left the team because he killed somebody himself.
But he didn't want to become a killer. He didn't do it on purpose, right? But then they show the marauding killer Legionnaires, and it's Colossal Boy. Colossal Boy, who was always kind of a cop. We could believe that he voted to become a killer.
Yeah, not much of a stretch.
Ultra Boy, I don't know. I mean, he was maybe. You could see him going either way.
I could see him knifing somebody.
Yeah. Wildfire, I thought, even though he was a hothead and he was kind of like aggressive, I feel like
Mhm.
Wildfire always followed the Constitution. It's a
Yeah, I kind of
different
think
universe here, though.
I think he's all bluster. I think he's kind of a softie.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah,
don't think he'd
exactly.
actually go through with it. No surprises with Sunboy.
Well, Sunboy would have done whatever they voted for. Like he probably
Right.
asked everybody, like, "How are you voting? How are you
Right.
voting?" And then he's like, "Yeah, okay, I'm going with the crowd."
I think the most jarring one has got to be Chameleon Boy with his Uzi.
He's really embracing the killer life. He's blasting
Right.
people with a machine
Yeah.
gun. Like he's not even using his powers to kill people. He's like, "No, give me anything."
He looks like he's screaming as he's doing like he's shooting.
It's straight out of like Easy
Yeah.
Company right there, right?
Right, right.
And Chemical King is sort of half-heartedly killing people in war there. He's just kind of going,
Right.
"Hey, watch out. I'm
Right.
going to make you dissolve really fast with my
Right.
power." Tyrok gets killed in battle.
Mm-hmm. Tarak always gets fucked.
Yeah, like who's the first legionary kill? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it just ends, huh? That's the end of it.
Yeah.
Then, when I knew to what depths our legion had sunk in this world of might be, the dream ended.
Mhm.
Wait, this is the one he was laughing at. Why was that guy laughing at this one?
Because he's like insane.
Maybe he's lost his mind, huh? Yeah, now we're back at the asteroid. Oh, at the science asteroid, which exists in the asteroid archipelago.
There's a bunch of really cool drawings in here. Like obviously the big robot looks great. The Mon-El is getting hit by some kind of like sunburst on the right upper
Yeah.
on the left side. That's really neat. The hand of the robot on the bottom right hand corner of the left page. What is that?
This is like white dot screen over top of black or something to get that.
Well, the other hand.
Oh, yeah,
Look at
this
the hand
one.
right next to it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that looks like real Kirby kind of a style, huh?
Mm-hmm.
This one of Mon-El on page 33, where he's getting
Mhm.
blasted, it's a frontal blast.
Right.
But then over on page 34, he's kind of facing us and getting shot in the back. And I thought that was
Yeah.
kind of a cool silhouette.
Yeah, both of them are really cool.
And then there's this symmetrical butt shot. This is kind of a Giffen,
Oh yeah.
kind of a Hallmark.
Yeah.
Hallmark. I don't know. He pulled it out of his trunk. This drawing of like just
One
a
of his go-to.
symmetrical body.
Drew it from a magazine.
Probably, yeah, just a diver, huh? But so while Mon-El is fighting the giant humanoid BattleBot, Shadowlass gets sidetracked by this guy. The power rods are going to blow up, and she has to disarm them somehow. So now her life is on the line here, and she's separate from Mon-El, who will be unable to save her. She may die.
To earn my Legion meat badge. What the fuck is that?
Meat badge.
Time to get some readers.
After we finish this issue, we'll have earned our Legion meat badges. But now back to the Time Institute. They don't even do a stupid lead-in between
Well,
Ron
there's
and Brainiac 5.
Got that panel there showing on page 34.
Oh, yeah, I guess that's a close-up of his eye, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And he's going, "Rawr!"
Mm-hmm.
Not so funny on this one. This next one, they actually specifically call out what time period in Legion history. This is a warped version of Earth War, which was, what was that, issue 240 something?
Yeah, it
5 years prior to this, I guess, huh?
Yeah, it was during Levitz's first run, right? And Sherman was
it was
guesting or drawing it quite often.
Yeah, we did one of them, didn't we? It was by Staten. I think it was Staten and Jack Abel did it, but yeah, I think Sherman probably started it.
Each of these is kind of like a dark future of that particular era. So this era is best known probably for Earth War.
Earth War was a big deal. It was a big 5-parter thing. But this is the mature Jim Sherman art style. Back in Earth War days, in the original period, it was inked by Jack Abel, ruined by Jack Abel's inks, I guess. As good an inker as Jack Abel is, I would have liked it better if it looked like this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But these, like 6 pages or whatever that Jim Sherman did, probably took him a year to draw.
Right.
But the splash page is amazing. This giant Mordru, crazy colors. I wonder if Sherman did the colors.
Probably, right?
I mean, it looks unlike the rest of it, you know?
Hmm.
But they don't give him any credit, so maybe it's still Carl Gafford doing this.
Yeah, it's very different. It's even different from the way he drew Legion. But like you said, maybe it's because he's inking it himself.
I think maybe he had one or two issues that kind of looked at this level at the very end, or
Uh,
I think he left and then came back. He was regular penciler for a while, and then he disappeared, and he came back and did a couple issues that looked a little bit like this, or some of his later covers sort of looked like this,
hmm
with like the I guess double lighting like here you see on Mordru.
hmm
And it's later in this story too, where it's like the light sources are from different places, and he's really did put it in a ton of work and a ton of black depth and stuff,
Right.
and crazy page designs.
Yeah, it reminds me of like old 60s and 70s movies where there's, I don't know if it's psychedelic exactly, but there's like kind of dark horror scenes where they put green or purple lights on the
Oh yeah,
characters.
like a Mario Bava or something.
Mhm.
Yeah, but this looks pretty cool. It's kind of, I guess it would be the tail end of the Earth War where Mordru showed up, and I guess he's got his idea for killing all the Legionnaires, and he sends out, these are demons, and he sends out the demons to kill all the Legionnaires. But I guess first he creates a big billboard with all the Legionnaires' names on it,
Mhm.
and then he's blowing it up or something silly, just so we get the hint.
Yeah,
Like I'm gonna write down your name and then strike a line through it.
I kind of wondered if like he was just filling panels, like because he's so slow. He had to figure out some way to represent what was being talked about
I guess, but
in a
drawing
fairly easy way.
like
Yeah,
like the weird foreshortening on a bunch of text. Like, I mean, this wasn't fast, you know.
right.
This is kind of cool story. Like this looks so good on the website
Mhm.
where you can like enlarge the panels real big.
Yeah.
It's kind of ruined in this. Like these drawings of Lightning Lad, and Saturn Girl.
Uh-huh.
They've been through a battle. Their costumes are kind of ripped up, but they all have like a really distinct style. And Lightning Lad has this kind of like Andy Gibb looking hairdo,
Uh-huh.
and the lighting is really good. And on the website one, the color is really vibrant, and the blacks are really black. It just looks.
Mhm.
You should check it out online. It looks so much better. Like there's just too much detail for a comic printed this size, I think, in the Jim Sherman art sometimes.
Right. Did Sherman draw him with long hair somewhere else?
I think he just had 70s kind of long hair when
Uh-huh.
Sherman was writing it or drawing it.
Yeah.
But when you see this first panel up close, well, you can notice it in the second panel. Like he has long, shaggy 70s hair.
Hmm.
And I think back in the actual 70s, his hair was just kind of like
A helmet.
helmet hair. Yeah, I was about to say that exactly.
Yeah.
Helmet hair.
Uh-huh.
Like, like seventh season Adam 12 Jim Reed hair.
Right.
Deep
When
cut. Nobody's ever going to know what I'm talking about, but I know you know.
where they wanted to show the characters had kind of loosened up, but not so much that their hair is long, too long. It just gets bigger,
Yeah.
and they might grow sideburns,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't actually have proper long hair.
Right. It's like a barber took care of that long hair for him.
Hmm.
The precinct barber.
Who are these guys with like the animals on their heads? Are they supposed to be people? Are they like cameos? That guy with the glasses is who I'm
Yeah,
wondering
this
about.
looks like, yeah, it's like he drew Bernie Wrightson or something.
That's what I was gonna say. It looks like a Bernie Wrightson drawing.
Yeah, they call out these people as the Aura Kills,
Hmm.
which is like a what's the word for that? When it's like Oracle, but since it's a comic book and they're from a warish world or something, it's called Aura Kill, Kill. These are the
And then
people they're on Naltor or Orando, one or the other. I can't remember.
is it Projectors World? Orlando?
I think it must be them, or it must be that place. But yeah, in the description they explain that they've gathered some wizards and some oracles and Haga the sorceress, and then Dream Girl, White Witch, and Princess Projectra they're going to do a seance. And like you said, like we were talking earlier, and you're like, wish they did more shit like that. And it's like,
Right.
yeah, That's the stuff that every comic book should do. Like
Right.
weird, supernatural, satanic, whatever the fuck. Talk to dead people. Totally should be doing that in comic books. It's insanity, you know?
Is it a portmanteau?
Maybe.
Is that what you thought?
Yeah. Yeah. You thought of it. I never would have thought of it.
Yeah.
You still got it, dude.
Sort of.
Oracle. It's a portmanteau
That's right.
of oracle and kill.
Mm-hmm.
It's a dumb portmanteau.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot like that, right? Like the bad guy in GoBots is Psykill. That.
Yeah, I bet they do it every chance they get in the comic books and in cartoons and stuff.
Yeah.
Like if you think of a good one, it's like, that's so awesome. Psykill, you know?
Right.
Oracles is stupid. I don't think that's a good one, but for a bad guy named Psykill and he's a motorcycle. Anyway, they've rounded up all these people, and there's they all kind of just look like these people look like kind of Native American types, and these people kind of look like Native African types or something. So I don't know if he should have gone there. I don't know. I don't know what these are exactly, or what the idea is.
Multicultural.
And the version of the White Witch in this story is like the original version of White Witch, where she just wears like a white prom dress and has kind of pink hair.
Right.
A Caucasian girl, not a entirely white with weird antenna eyelashes. Not that. It's not that version of White Witch.
Nor a hag.
Yeah, she's not a hag either. Here's my favorite drawing in the book.
Where they're fighting the cartoon characters?
Yeah, they're fighting this giant praying mantis or something, and he has this goofy expression.
Right.
But he's also ripping Cosmic Boy's face off and stabbing him through the chest at the same time.
Oh, I couldn't even make out what was going on.
This drawing is amazing. This is the whole book right here.
Yeah. Oh man.
And like his face, Cosmic Boy's face is stretched to like have you ever seen that photograph of like the sideshow guy who can like grab hold of his neck and stretch it out a foot?
Yeah.
It kind of looks like this bug creature's doing that to Cosmic Boy's face, only his face would be about 4 feet wide with all the stretch that's happening, and he's not even saying anything, huh? I guess he says arg.
Yeah, it's weird. He almost has it looks like a girl's face the way it's drawn, and the way the hair is colored.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like a girl with blonde hair, like Saturn Girl's head. Maybe the colors got confused. I don't know.
Yeah, and because his face is stretched, there's shadows in his eye sockets, so he kind of looks like he has eyeliner on or something.
Yeah.
But I think it's just like we can see the separation of his skin from his skull. It's pretty rad. But the oracles, etc., the wizards and all those people, they come up with some spell that, in order to defeat Mordru, that the spell takes all the magic out of the universe and like flushes it down a toilet, or metaphorically.
Yeah. Right.
And it kills Mordru, and they imply that it also killed all those people in the seance, or in the chant circle or whatever. So rip Dream Girl, Projectra, and White Witch in this reality.
They died, or they were depowered?
They died.
Okay, because they all have magic powers.
But the surviving Legionnaires are
defiant.
They're still defiant. They won.
Yeah, they're all raising their fist in victory, I guess. But they're all kind of angry looking. The cover of a 80s rock album.
Yeah, the Dawn Star way in the back.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's supposed to be her face, kind of lit up, but it looks like a goatee and mustache in white. Do you see it?
Yeah.
Let's see if we can get this on camera.
Whoa.
Weird.
I just figured it was like the color had been chipped off or something on my copy.
But they pretty handily defeat Mordru. I don't really like White Witch, so I wish in the regular continuity they would have pulled this stunt. Get rid of Mordru and White Witch in one fell swoop.
Yeah, you got to have Mordru, though.
Talk about that guy a lot. More than Time Trapper, more than any other villain. Like, he's like their main villain, I guess.
He definitely was until the Time Trapper during the Baxter series kind of was elevated into and more importance.
Yeah.
But before that, he was their main villain.
Yeah, he was pretty much the scariest guy they ever went up against, right?
Mm-hmm.
And wait, Earth War was Fatal 5 part of Earth War? Yeah, it was Fatal 5 and then Mordru, right?
Was
It
the Legion of
says,
Supervillains in that too?
let me see. It
I
says
feel
at
like
the
there was a
beginning of
lot
this.
going on. Maybe like everybody showed up in that.
Oh, it says Mordru conquered the Earth with the aid of the Kundas and the Dark Circle.
Mm-hmm.
So it began as a Kund attack on Earth with the secretly backed by the Dark Circle. And then Mordru, I guess, was in back of everything.
Right.
So it wasn't the Dominators. Well, the Dominators were in it too, weren't they? But they weren't the real bad guys.
Right.
But it wasn't the Fatal 5.
Yeah.
I don't know. Jim Sherman, pretty good artist.
Yeah.
Now we're back at the Time Institute, and I guess he's waking up. They say that no matter what Brainiac 5 does, he can't seem to make this guy any calmer.
Mm-hmm.
I'm having to reread it because I don't remember.
I'm doing the same. I'm doing the
There's
same.
so much dialogue on these pages, on the bridging sequence pages. Yeah, he just can't seem to crack the mystery of why this guy reacts to these nightmares that he has. But I don't know, like, would one person react the same way to my nightmares as the way I do? Probably not, right? You'll never know. It's all a weird, messed up psychology thing, right? Until Brainiac 5 gets on the case, I guess, and then he starts to figure it out. He says, our patient's cure would be the ultimate triumph in my conquest of time.
Doesn't sound like a supervillain there at all.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. This is the page where he starts to talk about the time beacon
and
explain it all to you so you'll finally understand what it is. He says the time beacon serves as a constant guide to us when we travel from this century to others. And you can avoid alternate timelines because of this time beacon.
Right. So they could get back to their future.
And it works just because he says it works. He did a good job on it. That's all.
Right.
And it looks like a boob from the side, or like one of those hotel bells.
Boob shooting lasers.
Right. It's like milk.
Laser lactating. Oh, there's an L symbol on it.
Is that an L? I think that's I don't know what the hell that is. No, it's an E. Man, does this have Interlac alphabet in this issue?
Doesn't it? No, that's the first annual. But the L, the Interlac L, looks just like the Legion L. Well, like the L in the title by design, because there'd be L, because there were L's everywhere.
Yeah,
like there's an L on their headquarters, so they had to just make an L and L.
Well, wait, what does the E look like on Element Lad, for example?
Well,
he's not wearing that yet. All right, never mind.
Right. No, the E, I could even draw the E.
But why does this have an L on it? It's a Time Institute.
I don't know, because he built it.
Built it. Yeah, here's the little Time Institute logo on the next page. It just says a TI.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay.
So Brainiac 5 is basically humble bragging here. Sure, I did all this amazing stuff that allowed Superboy and Supergirl to come here and help make the Legion great and all, but what was I really doing? Did I help this one guy? It's just a very long-winded, braggadocious.
Yeah, it's like he's rationalizing his failure here. He's like, well, maybe I can't solve this guy's problem, but I did all this other awesome stuff. And
right.
Yeah, it is. That whole spiel starts out with Ron Vidari's like, look, you can't let it get to you that you are failing to solve this guy's problem. And Brainiac 5 is like, no, I did all these other amazing things.
But what does it mean if I can't help this one guy?
But he's like, and look what it's done for us. I've done all these other great things and improved his lives. Like, look how great I am.
Right.
And there's this tall, wordless panel just showing off the time beacon boob.
I love. Yeah, he's totally humble bragging. He's like, what have I done? Solved a few scholars' riddles, perhaps brought Superboy and Supergirl through to join the Legion, perhaps saved countless lives. The ever humble Brainiac 5.
Oh yeah, I built the beacon even before the Legion. So he like sticks in another little success. Oh, I'm in the Legion too. Don't forget that.
Right.
But this is all as a way for him to explain that this guy can defy all this shit that Brainiac 5 has created. But before they can really get anywhere, Circadius Senius calls these dudes back. There's a new vision commencing. It's weird because they say the visions happen so fast that they can't really keep track of them. But these dudes are outside on the roof, and Circadius Senius is like, hey, there's a new vision coming. Get in here real fast.
Yeah.
It probably would be over. But I guess they're going to record it on tape and play it back to this guy to torture him a little bit.
So this takes us back to like the early 80s, kind of the Jimmy Janes era, which like pre-Roy Thomas, maybe Roy Thomas as well. But so it's Birdwell and who was the other guy? The guy who used to Carrie Bates.
I think it's a little after that. I think this is maybe like it has Block, right? This one kind of features Block. And I think that maybe is Roy Thomas and Staten and Jimmy Janes probably, who did was in that period. But I think it technically wasn't that long ago, right?
Right.
Before this issue. Like it was
a couple of years at most.
Couple of years ago, yeah.
This is like 83, right? And that stuff was around 81.
There's a pretty good splash page here with a lot of body language. Like when you have to draw 8 people hanging around a table, it's kind of hard to do it to make them look distinct, and they all are. Like they're having a discussion. Lightning Lad is the leader, and he's trying to...
he was a terrible leader, as I recall. He was not good at it.
Was that in the story? How do you know? Like, did he...
It was in the story. It was in the story. I think he kind of sucked as a leader.
They just had him fail a lot.
Yeah.
This is another story where, like the last one or the Cockrum one, they're trying to sideline the Legion in the big war because they won't kill people. And this one, they're talking about disbanding the Legion on the splash page here. This is Joe Staten and Dick Giordano. And they have like model spaceships hanging from the ceiling, like a little kid's room. It's just kind of weird. But I like the way Starboy looks. I like the way Element Lad and Timberwolf look. Timberwolf's just leaning back and chilling. Element Lad has got his hand on his head. He's kind of hunched over.
I like Karate Kid, though I'm not sure why he's facing the wrong way. Maybe he's pacing back and forth.
Yeah, it's like he's going to leave, right?
Right.
Lightning Lad's like, we've just been having one problem after another.
Right.
And there's the 2 insane Legionnaires, and there's the missing Ultra Boy.
Right, and this missing Ultra Boy leads to the whole Reflecto business.
That's right. Yeah, the Reflecto business. Yeah, like there's some girl space pirates who get hold of him somehow, and
his mind is in Superboy's body, disguised as Reflecto, I think.
Yeah,
it's something weird like that.
In this timeline, it looks like he actually just dies. Lightning Lad goes on to say the Phantom Girl quit the team to mourn him as if he's dead.
Yeah, I don't remember if she did that or not.
I don't think she did. I don't think she ever quit. And he also says that Shrinking Violet quit.
Right. That never happened.
These are all such minor things that we don't even remember the difference. Like nowadays, they do this kind of stuff frequently. Alternate timelines. They have 2 fucking Spider-Man cartoon hit movies right now that are about this, where they merge them and stuff. But for it to really make a difference, you have to tell a story where I can actually tell the difference between what originally happened, what your new one is.
Right.
So it's kind of dorky where it's like, well, did Shrinking Violet leave the team?
Right.
I don't remember. She probably did.
Especially since it's following all these other shorts that are more cataclysmic. And most of the team is dead, or the universe is. This seems very pedestrian.
Right, like there's been some minor roster changes.
There's been some clerical errors.
Yeah. It's like, Marla's been growing a beard.
Somebody has been eating my food from the break room fridge.
Yeah. It is that level of minutia. There's a silly part where Colossal Boy starts to argue with Wildfire. And Karate Kid and Timberwolf punch them out to make them shut up.
I know. I like how it seems like Karate Kid's trying to break the fight up by punching him in the face.
I know.
Oh, for heaven's sakes.
Cut it out, you guys. Quit fighting. But then what does this mean? When the next panel is Block, and he's like turning his back on them, and he says this word. It's spelled Plaugh.
Like Pilaf.
Is it Pilaf or is it ploff?
Blah.
I guess it's supposed to be. It's like blah, like a sound of disgust.
Yeah.
Plaw. I've never seen that at any comic book.
It's before. A dryad thing.
It's ancient dryadian.
Mm-hmm.
But then the story becomes, if the Block becomes the focus of this story afterwards.
Right. Dawnstar tries to comfort him, and he's like, "Who asked you, bitch? Get out of my way."
Yeah, she's like, "I just like you. I think the Legion isn't what it used to be." And he's like, "Fuck off."
Right.
I think Dawnstar looks good in these drawings. Pretty cute Dawnstar.
Yeah, very nice drawings.
Block looks pretty cool.
He's all right.
If you like this version of Block.
I like the poses. I like the structure of them. I don't know if I like the design so much. And Dawnstar, it looks like Garcia Lopez.
Almost, yeah. I think that's a good pairing. I don't know. Like, it was usually I don't think Giordano ever inked the actual issues. He did the covers, but it's a good pairing. Staten and Giordano. I mean, I don't know if you can go wrong with Giordano. He's really good.
Right. Joe Staten, I never think he's bad. I just think he's like okay most of the time. But every now and then, if he gets the right inker, his stuff looks really good.
Yeah, like there's something there. Like something underlying is really good.
Right.
But in general, yeah, I don't know who. Like, I first saw him doing like the Green Lantern stuff, and I think that was like Mark Farmer or somebody who was like he did Alan Davis. Like, he was a pretty good inker, but maybe he's really true to the pencils or something.
Yeah, like whoever was inking him during Green Lantern Corps was pretty good. But then when he was doing all those Guy Gardner solo stories, like in the early 90s, it was kind of bland.
Yeah. I was talking about Farmer on Green Lantern Corps. Yeah, I don't know who. I can't think of who was doing that. Yeah, like when he was on the Huntress series and stuff, and they did like that pebble board kind of shading.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who did that. But there's this one issue of, what is it? It's Joe Staten inked by George Freeman. It looks so good. I think it's maybe a Secret Origins or like some annual, Superman annual or something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's really unbelievably good.
Yeah. I think he's a good designer. He gave Guy Gardner his kind of signature look with the bowl haircut and the big boots. And he designed probably the best known of all the alien Green Lanterns, the ones that have actually stuck around over the years, like Salak and Kilowog.
He probably gave them all like their distinct, like personal looking costumes, you know, like instead of just a black and green with the circle on the chest, like they each had a kind of a different different motif or whatever. Chip and Arisia and Katma Twee.
Yeah, I think she'd been around already, but yeah.
Block brushes off Dawnstar and he goes into his apartment and he calls up his old boss, the evil Dark Man from the League of Assassins or something. In our history that we know, Block broke free from the brainwashing of the bad guys who were trying to get him to kill the Legion and became a good guy. In this world, he stayed a bad guy and secretly infiltrated the Legion.
And the Dark Man, of course, is like a clone, like I want to say an evil clone, but the person he's cloned from is evil. It's like a clone of the Fatal Five dude.
Tharok, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Tharok is like half human, half robot, like split right down the middle.
Mm-hmm.
And so I guess Darkman is the entirety of Tharok.
Right. And he doesn't look nearly as impressive here. Like he's kind of cool looking when he appeared in those comics because he was literally dark all the time. He was always obscured in shadow and he's like in a bubble.
Yeah.
He looks kind of bland here.
Like now they don't have any reason to hide his identity or something. So it's just like he's this bald guy with glowing eyes.
Right.
So yeah, they blow up Legion headquarters, these two guys.
Yeah, he gets him to climb into the TV set with him.
That is really weird. It's like at first it's a TV, and then it becomes a
it's kind of odd. It's surreal.
And this is right in Block's apartment. Like no one ever realized that there's some kind of transporter gizmo.
Mm-hmm.
I guess sometimes they respect your privacy in the Legion. Other times you have no privacy, and they'll
Yeah.
erase your brain and stuff like that.
So now we're getting a good look at his face.
His mutant, disgusting face.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about it. I guess I probably would prefer we never got to see what he looked like. It's sort of inconsistent too, because we always saw his eyes, and he didn't have blood red. I guess I'm talking about his brother, but he had kind of human eyes.
Well, even throughout this issue, they show him with regular eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Even on the next page, they show him kind of regular eyes.
Mm-hmm.
It's what these nightmares are doing, and the constant anguish for the last 15 years.
Uh-huh.
And I was going to say, I wonder if they thought that splitting up and not showing the entirety of his face, but just seeing 2 quadrants of his face was enough to be like, now we're not showing too much or something.
Yeah, I think that's the idea.
But I think we can figure it out. And I guess I never really thought the Fair Lad was this weird looking, or it's almost as if he's not ugly enough to be wearing a mask like that.
Right.
Or ugly in the same way that I always expected him to be. Like, this is just kind of like a generic kind of ugly, and he has sharp teeth and he's green or whatever. Like, oh yeah, what else would he be? But I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what I thought. I think I thought maybe like his deformity was like possibly related to his power. Like maybe like chunks of his face were always metal.
Yeah.
Or something like that. Little blobs of metal all over him.
Like he looks like melted like solder or something.
Right. I gotta say, it's there for effect, I guess, just like Invisible Kid's dialect, but it's really annoying reading Circadia's dialogue after a while.
Hate it. Yeah. I think this time I was able to just kind of tune it out.
Right.
But like, I just hate it when they put dialogue stuff like this or dialect in word balloons.
Right. And it makes even less sense when we're in a world where they're all using like translator devices or whatever. Why wouldn't they be hearing him regular English? And
then I think also there's times when he'll say a word that like begins with a C, but it's not the C that sounds like a K. It's like a C that sounds like an S, but they still put all the additional K's in front of it.
Right.
Come on.
Dudes.
But I hate like in the few like X-Men comics I ever read, and they have Rogue talk like that in her like her Louisiana what do you call that? Like her drawl. I don't know.
Her Southern accent.
Yeah, whatever it is. She calls people sugar, and they spell it SUGAH. I'm like, come on, I know. Bad. Just say sugar.
It's bad.
It's so stupid.
It's quite bad.
I mean, it's just kind of embarrassing. I don't like reading it either. And when people stutter like Circadia Senius, he's supposed to be clicky like a bug or something. Yeah, terrible. But the point of this page is they reveal that this is not Fair Lad. It's not just some monster. This is Douglas Nolan, Fair Lad's brother.
Dun, dun, dun.
And I guess short-term Legion readers of this time would not have known of the existence of this guy, because he was in a total of like 3 comic books way in the past.
Right. He was in the Adult Legion story we keep referring back to.
Yeah. And conveniently, whoever wrote that Adult Legion story, Jim Shooter, I guess, was like, sure wish I hadn't killed Fair Lad. I'm going to give him an identical twin brother with the very same powers and put him in this. And that's who he is. He's the same. It's like in G.I. Joe, they got those Tomax and Zaymot guys where one guy feels what the other guy feels. The Nolan brothers have the same thing. And somehow Douglas Nolan has some kind of bizarre part of his mutant abilities to dream about realities that haven't happened or something, alternate realities.
Right. And somehow whatever's going to cure him involves going to that place, to another reality. And somehow Brainiac 5 intuits this. It doesn't make much sense, but he's saying we've got to find the right reality. That's what's going to cure him somehow. Circadia makes some mention earlier in this that he's not, he doesn't think he's even belongs in this reality to begin with.
Oh, I didn't catch that part.
He says I'll have to find it later.
It's all right. I'll take your word for it.
Or perhaps I dreamed it. But see, what I'm wondering is, what if this guy is native of that world he returns to? Because it seems like a very strange, like this guy's identical to his brother, except for this dimension, this strange dimension viewing power, and then somehow he just seamlessly blends into this other world. I wonder if he somehow got displaced from that world into ours, perhaps when they were both children. Like he wasn't just a twin, he's like from another reality.
Right. He's like he's the Andrew Nolan from another reality.
Right.
And somehow they just took him for an identical twin.
Right.
Yeah, that's some like
convoluted shit.
Eltrogan type of bullshit from 5 years later or something, right?
Right.
I mean, I think that's an interesting idea. I don't think Paul Levitz was ever going to do something like that.
Yeah, probably not.
Because the way I read this is like they show like the story that Douglas Nolan really wants and is going to solve this problem is this one. And it's just the Adult Legion story that happened. It's this. They just send him into what we read already, right? They don't have to send him into an alternate one. They send him into the comic book that we already read. So they don't have to think too hard. You know what I mean? It's not like it's not like when you think about the shit that Tom and Mira Bierbaum and Keith Giffen had to come up with to get rid of Superboy and make Mon-El this and that and get rid of the Time Trapper and Mordru and on and on and on. It's just like, no, instead the scenario that Douglas Nolan really needed to comfort him was that comic book that we wrote already. And we're just going to show him that comic book. And then he merges with that comic book.
Right.
And they show him troubled in this first panel. And they show him Adventure Comics 354 as it happened, verbatim, same drawing, same dialogue. And then he's comforted. They've miscolored his eyes. He's supposed to have his eyes closed, but he's comforted and he cries. But then he merges with the Douglas Nolan of that timeline, and then later joins the Legion as Pharaoh Man. Kind of just like happens in this. He's in it. They call him Pharaoh Man in this. But where was it? Where's the thing where Circadia Sen is?
Page 5.
All the way back on page 5?
Second panel down.
We discovered his madness came from being in touch with other realities that might have been if events were different. He was still trapped in our reality.
Our timeline where he could not belong.
Yeah. I don't know. Why wouldn't he belong there? He's there. What does Circadia Senius know that he's not telling us?
I don't know. You know what I think's interesting is I feel like this is another case of Brainiac 5 being a dumbass and overthinking things, because he mentions that this desperate guy came knocking on their door years ago, and he probably just wanted to join the team.
Yeah.
To honor his brother, you know? And that would have fixed everything back then. But they've had him in this weird comatose state for years, and they ship him off to some other dimension. And
right, they're like, "You're crazy. You must be in mental anguish. Let's put you in this padded cell for 50
honor
years.
My brother's memory and be the new Pharaoh lad," is probably what he wanted to do. It's like, well, you can't do that here, but we'll lock you up for 10 years and then send you off to some alternate.
Like, who are you? You're so ugly. That's fucked up. But yeah, like that dialogue from Senius where he postulates that he's from another timeline and should not exist here, and he's in anguish because he's in this other timeline.
I brought that up because I thought that fed into the theory that maybe he's a native of the world they sent him to, and that's why he could just like end up back there.
Yeah, it's really a roundabout way for Paul Levitz to say that the Adult Legion story and Adventure 354 and 55, they're not part of the continuity of stories we've been reading all this time. They're an alternate world. And so like anytime they talk about Douglas Nolan in that story, it's, I don't know, it's like, yeah, okay, that's the real Douglas Nolan, and somehow he he was in the other ones accidentally, I
Right.
guess. And he didn't belong there. And all they have to do is show him they show him the Legion archives that has Adventure 355 or 354 in it. He reads it and is relaxed, and he imagines the future that he would have lived had he become Pharaoh Man in that timeline.
Mm-hmm.
And then he merges with that timeline and disappears out of, like they show him fading away here. He disappears from this timeline that we've been reading that Keith Giffen drew, and goes and merges with the Kurt Swan shit from Adventure Comics 354, I guess, and becomes Pharaoh Man and joins the Legion. That's what Paul Levitz tells us, I guess.
Right, which makes no sense, really. It seems like he's just run out of space and he's got to like resolve this real quick.
Yeah, he doesn't have any more throwback artists to draw more pages.
He just magically disappears.
I don't know. I guess if you think back and it's like, well, how did he get here? If he's not supposed to be here, I guess he just kind of appeared here in the same way that he just disappears from here to go back. I don't know. There's a lot that doesn't get explained, and a lot that is, it's so fantastical that it doesn't really make sense as a story.
Right. Maybe Brainiac 5 just put the tape on so he'd feel comfortable and then quietly hit the disintegrate button.
Right, the dissolution morphine or whatever they have in the future that makes you just fade away.
Right.
Or put him in the Phantom Zone.
Right.
He's like, he plugged in his pocket Phantom Zone projector. And it's like, hey guys, I fixed it. Let's go to lunch.
I only have 2 basket cases to deal with.
That we know of. Oh, this is more Twin Peaksy shit, where he disappears into a dream.
Yeah.
And they're like, too late, he's gone. He disappeared, just like Philip Jeffries did in the Philadelphia office.
Brainiac got really fat.
He's really chubby on this page, huh? Really wide. Yeah, Brainiac 5, he doesn't give a fuck. They're like, he's gone. What'd you do to him? And he's like, cured him. We cured Douglas Nolan. Don't have to deal with this problem anymore.
Zapped him.
And Ron Vidar's like, how is any of that possible, Brainiac? And Brainiac 5's like, I don't know.
All I know is that his very existence was defying my theories and how my time beacon works. So
he had to go. He's done.
Now he's gone. So I don't have to worry about that contradiction.
Yeah, he couldn't work in our world. So he's gone. Figured out a way to solve that problem. We have this wonderful universe of our own, so very close to being infinitely large and infinitely beautiful. I shall be satisfied to find my future here rather than in some alternate possible world, known or unknown, whatever. So they wrap this up. This is kind of, it's not unlike the way they wrapped up like the Jackson Rugarth Infinite Man kind of story where it's like, yeah, he's just gone. I don't know. Who can understand this shit? It's like big science, man. And that's Brainiac 5 saying that stuff. Like the smartest guy in the universe is like, he's gone. Problem solved.
That's his get out of jail free card. Like when he's outsmarted.
Yeah.
It's like, you're thinking about this stuff too hard. Just need to accept this stuff. Come on, man.
Well, I was like, he's gone, isn't he? You don't see him, right?
Right.
Looks like a cure to me. I'm off the hook. Like, how can I pay you back that money I owe you? There's no money. What are you talking about? How could I owe you money if there is no money?
You got to quit dwelling on the past, man.
So they go back to the science asteroid. We still haven't figured out this Shadowlass thing. She might still be dying in this issue because she died back in Adventure Comics 354, where Douglas Nolan now resides permanently.
Or more accurately, she was dead by that point. We don't know where she died.
Right. So, yeah, Douglas Nolan's now gone not only into another timeline, but into the future of another timeline.
Right.
I think.
Right. I think so. Because everyone else is much older than they are now. Here, even though these characters are like, I don't know, 10, 15 years older than they were in the Silver Age, the future ones are much older than they are here.
Right.
Like they're like 25, 30 here. They're like 50 or something. And
yeah, like Brainiac 5 hasn't even started to smoke.
A pipe yet.
Cosmic Boy hasn't even started losing his hair.
Or has he?
Yeah. I mean, in that other timeline, they may not have hair plugs, but they do have it in this one.
Right.
But Shadowlass is over here. The Caucasian makeup is melting off of her blue body,
Mhm.
and the whole thing's starting to collapse because she's trying to get to the warp core or something.
Mhm.
That room that Mr. Spock went into in Star Trek 2, whatever that place is called.
That moment is so sad. My son started crying. I showed it to him like a week ago.
Really? Was he invested in Star Trek whatsoever, or was it just watching Star Trek 2 did it for him?
I think watching Star Trek 2 did it for him.
Yeah.
I've just recently started showing him those. But it's a good scene, even though they're not great actors. It somehow still works. Unlike the remake of it, which was so bad. That's why ended up showing him too, because we saw part of the remake on TV and it was so awful. I got to show you a good death, the way it was intended to be done.
I don't even remember. Like, I've seen those, but I don't remember anything about them.
It is so embarrassingly bad.
Stupid.
It's really bad. Anyway.
Shadowlass looks like she gets blasted.
Yow. I just think it's awesome.
There's this. I don't know what this is supposed to be. What's this box supposed to be?
Like fade to black, maybe?
I don't know.
Like then she's gone.
Yeah, it doesn't really make any sense. Maybe if we saw this page in black and white, it would become clearer, which is kind of strange that a color comic actually makes more sense in black and white, but that's a Giffen comic for you.
No, I think probably he wanted a pause between the two. He didn't have room, so I thought this is like a black panel.
Yeah.
But if you put a solid black panel in there, it would look like a black shape in the bigger panel. I don't know that it would read as a panel.
Yeah. He needed to have this smaller panel shifted down about this way so it overlays the main panel, but hangs out down or hangs over into this margin down here.
And maybe it was like a last minute addition and they just slapped it on top.
Yeah, who knows? But on the next page, everything seems cool. Mon-El has, I guess, wiped out the Kundian humanoid shaped battle bot. And then Shadowlass shows up. She's fine. She put on a fresh coating of base, new all black, solid black costume.
Does she keep this for a while, the skin? Or is it only this issue?
I don't think she keeps the skin. Maybe she has it in the next issue. The skin, the whiteness. Yeah, I don't. Yeah. I think it's gone after a very short period, if not with the very next issue. I think she keeps this all black costume for a little bit, though.
And you think that's a skull cap, or?
I think it is, but I don't know.
Which issue is the? It's like Adventure 300, only with the new guys in their new costumes. Is that 301?
It has that throwback cover, the gridded out. Yeah, I think that's 301. I think it's the next one.
I think maybe she has the Caucasian skin on that.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. That sounds right.
Yeah, she does, at least on the cover.
I don't think she keeps it for long, though.
Yeah, it's a weird idea to keep around.
I mean, it's a weird idea to do at all because she doesn't really even explain why she's doing it, right?
Right.
Mon-El theorizes that she's trying to impress him by being a white person instead of a blue person.
Right.
But she doesn't say yes or no to that.
She must dump this whole costume, right? Like, I don't even know if she had blue skin, wouldn't it make her look kind of monotonous or boring, all black and blue?
Yeah, but I think she might wear that all black for a little while.
Even when she's blue.
Yeah, like Steve Lytle, when he draws her, she's in all black like that. She may not have
the cap.
Yeah, she has long hair.
Yeah. Well, it probably looks better when she has hair again. So anyway, they get to the big celebration.
They're on to the ceremony, and this is all it is, huh?
Right. This photo op.
The little scroll here says, in celebration of the Legion of Superheroes on the occasion of issue 300 of their comic in their 25th anniversary year of publication.
That's right.
So they all got together to celebrate 25 years in the comics.
They invited Spider-Man.
And Garfield. Batman.
Yep, Batman. Keith Giffen and some of the creators are hidden here somewhere. Or probably just like the heads in the background, right?
Oh yeah, there they are. Yeah. Look at
Okay,
these two guys by Chlorophyll
look-
Kid.
like that Elvisy looking guy.
Is that Lenny and Squiggy?
It is. I read that somewhere. It's the guys from Laverne and Shirley.
That's so weird. I don't know who this guy with the glasses is supposed to be.
Yeah, pretty cool. Pretty cool issue.
There's a letters page. I didn't read it. Never got to it. We can read it in some other time. Legion of Superheroes number 300, the big anniversary issue, their 25th year in action.
Is it the 25th?
That's what it said.
Only about 11 more years before it all ends.
It's a pretty good run, uninterrupted from 1958 to 1994 or so.
4 or 5, yeah. Yeah, it's almost been that long again, right? No?
I don't think it's been that long, right? 58 to 94 is 36 years.
No, it hasn't been that long. I don't think. I hope not. What are we coming up on? 30 years?
30 years since what? 1995?
Since 0 hour, yeah.
95 to 05 would be 10
Way
years.
too late for me to figure that out.
05 to 15 would be 20 years. 15 to 25 would be 30 years. We're at about 28 years, 27 years. Wow, that's been a long time.
It's a long time to be without Legion.
But we talk about them every week.
Stay tuned for the meaning of life.